What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm previewing and giving my predictions for that 2020 Romania Pro, which is to be held just tomorrow. So we've got a massive weekend of covering this contest, so I'm going to have a full wrap up of the show as well. So make sure you do subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you won't miss out on any coverage from this show, and hopefully some post-comp interviews as well with the likes of Regan Grimes possibly, and any other one that does really well in this show. So let's get straight into it and let's jump into the open category. I'm going to be giving my top 6, and I've also got one guy I want to discuss as well that could be a bit of a, I suppose, a dark horse in this show too. So I'll start with the dark horse prediction, and that's Clarence De Vries. Now, this dude's actually competed in the Open Mr Olympia, I believe, before, but this video was posted, I think, 5.5 to 6 weeks out of this contest, and you can tell he's a long way off conditioning wise, and he's really got to pull it in. Now, he's working with George Farah, who's brought him in actually probably his best ever in his career, in my opinion, but I don't know if George Farah can work that much magic in 6 weeks' time, but if he does, I mean, it's an awesome advertisement for George Farah. But Clarence De Vries, I have outside of the top 6, when really, in reality, he shouldn't be placing outside of the top 6 in a show like this, because it's not the strongest of lineups. But yeah, he shouldn't be placing outside the top 6, but there are some good competitors in this lineup nonetheless, even though there are only 16 competitors. And in 6th place, I have Thomas Tobashia. Now, I'm just totally guessing how to pronounce these last names of these next 3 bodybuilders, but I'm saying Thomas Tobashia because this dude, he posted up this photo just one day out of the Romania Pro, so it was only hours ago, and he looks sensational. His conditioning is all the way in, so I imagine that's going to carry him at least a decent distance in this show, and there's actually some competitors that are going to be very close to him as well for that top 6, so it could go many different ways. But I've got Thomas Tobashia in 6th. So in 5th, I've got Vlad Shukurushku. Now, I have no idea if that's how it's pronounced, but he finished, I think it was 12th place in the Europa Pro Championships, which was held over there in Alicante, Spain. I thought he looked really good, and I thought he even could have placed a few spots higher. Now, the 2 guys ahead of him in that show are actually competing in this show, but I've got him beating them in this show because I think that he was sort of maybe slightly overlooked at that Europa show, and he just brings such great conditioning. He's got plenty of size, so I have him in 5th place here. In 4th, I have Theo Lugaria. Now, this guy placed 5th in the last show, the British Grand Prix. He beat Samson Dowder and beat some other good competitors as well. So I was pretty impressed with Theo. He really came out of nowhere. I saw some pre-show photos, but he even had more pop on stage. So he actually pleasantly surprised me. So I got Theo placing 4th here. And in 3rd place, I have Patrick Johnson, and this is actually his pro debut. I think I'm actually getting it right now. I'm not saying debut. And he looks insane. I saw photos of this guy popping up just recently, and I was like, wow, who's this? And I found out it was Patrick Johnson, and I was like, wow, I'm very, very impressed. Most of his shots look absolutely outrageous. Like, his side chest is just absolutely out of control. And all these photos that are going up are just recent ones he's put up, or that have been put up on Instagram. And it's just, he's actually blown me away. He reminds me of almost like a Kevin English back when he was winning the 202 Olympia, but obviously a bigger version. I think a version that's in the 250 odd pounds rather than the I suppose Kevin English was sitting around 210, maybe 215 and getting down to 202. This guy's around 250 something. So Patrick Johnson, very, very impressive physique. I mean, he does have some shots that don't look as good, like a front double bicep doesn't look quite as good on his physique, but some of his other shots I think supersede that. So he's a guy that could even potentially win this show, because we don't know how Lionel Beyeke is going to come in. We don't know how Regan Grimes is going to come in exactly, although he was very good at that British. You just never know. This guy could just look even more impressive on stage and just blow everyone away. So Patrick Johnson, I have in 3rd, but really not sure exactly where to place him. In 2nd place, I have Lionel Beyeke. Now, I think he was actually a late entrant into this show because I wasn't expecting to see him on the list. He wasn't on the first list that came out, but I'm pleasantly surprised to see him on that list. Now, this video here is from 10 weeks out, I believe, of this show, and he looks pretty awesome. Like, for 10 weeks out, unless he's prepping for some other show that maybe he didn't get to compete at or didn't decide to compete at. But for this, if this was 10 weeks out and he's continued to prep and actually pushed it hard and hasn't cheated on his diet or anything like that, he's going to be in good condition. Now, if Lionel Beyeke's in good condition even, he'll win this show. If he's in really good condition, he'll dominate the show. If he's in spectacular, best ever condition by far, he'll dominate the show and do well at the Olympia. That's how good Lionel Beyeke is. His shape, his muscle bellies, everything is just amazing. Lionel Beyeke is a dangerous, dangerous competitor. the times we see Lionel Beyeke on compared to off is, we see him off way more, which is very unfortunate because he's got a physique that could be consistently placing top 10 in the Olympia, which is pretty amazing. But often we see him, placing half decent in smaller shows, which we don't want to see from Lionel Beyeke. You want to see him winning smaller shows and then contending at, I suppose, the big shows like the Arnold and the Olympia. So Lionel Beyeke in second. Now, Regan Grimes, I've winning this show. He's coming off a second at that British Grand Prix, and I thought that was a well-earned second as well. I didn't have any disputes with him placing second there. I thought it was a clear-cut second. And coming into this show, he really is the front runner because Lionel Beyeke, like I've said about him, he's very inconsistent. Now, he looks great, for 10 weeks out, spectacular. But if it's that same package on stage, because that's about what we see Lionel on stage like a lot of the time, it just won't be enough. He needs to bring that razor-sharp conditioning and whatever he needs to get there. We know he can get there as well because we've seen it in the past, a couple of times. But I think Regan Grimes, we know he's going to be in condition. He's in condition, what was it, a week or two ago? I think it was last weekend. And he looked absolutely sensational there. So we know he's going to be in condition. He can be a little bit, I suppose, up and down on stage. He can come out and then come out a little flat, or, he sort of has to work into it, or he comes out in good condition and fades a little bit. But Regan Grimes, I have to give him a win here, and I think he'll get his Olympic qualification for next year. He's already qualified this year and is doing it, so him doing back-to-back Olympias at, still a very young age is a great thing to have under his belt, and I think he's just going to do, make his first Olympic appearance this year, and then hopefully in 2021 he moves up the rankings a little bit and adds some more size to his physique, which will really, I suppose, bring his physique to the forefront of the IFBB and get a lot more even excitement around him, even though there already is quite a lot of that. So I'll give you my top five. I'll give my top six once again. So I've got Thomas Tabashier. I've got Vlad Sukhoruchko. I've got Theo Laguera. We've got Patrick Johnson, Lionel Beyeke in second, and then Regan Grimes in first place. So let's move on to the 212s. And while it's a small lineup, it's actually a pretty damn good lineup. So I'll go from fifth place down to first. So in fifth, we have Steve Bentham, a consistent competitor. He's pretty much always in the top fives of shows like this, and basically his conditioning carries him really well because he always comes in really sharp, poses well, all that sort of stuff. So Steve Bentham I have in fifth. In fourth, I have Diogo Nunes. Now, I've never seen this guy before, but these photos were posted 2 weeks out from the show, and he looks absolutely shredded and looks pretty damn good. So he's got that real gnarly conditioning that could carry him even higher in this show. But just because I've never seen him before, I'm going to place him in fourth place here. Now, in third, I have Morteza Mash. Now, I'm not pronouncing his last name because it is ridiculous. It's got 17 letters in it, which is mind-blowing. So if anyone can actually space it out and show you how to pronounce that last name. He's an Iranian bodybuilder in this one, but that is one of the longest last names you've ever seen in your life. But a great physique. So I went on his Instagram, I saw these photos of him 3 weeks out. Not sure how his back looks, but he looks, from the front, he looks sensational, at most muscular. So I have Morteza placing third in the show, really knowing very little about him, but was very, I suppose, pleasantly surprised by his pre-contest photos. Second, I have Radoslav Angelov. Now, this dude placed second to Angel Calderon last week at the British Grand Prix, and I think it's going to be a repeat of last week's results for the top two at least anyway. He's got a great physique. His legs need to come up a little bit to match that freaky round upper body, but I have him as a clear second in this show, but a great physique that could win, several other pro contests. So he's going to have plenty of points after this one for the 212 Olympia for next year. Hopefully he just does a few more shows next year, qualifies easy on points or gets a win, and he'll be in that 212 Olympia in 2021. Or, if he does win at this show, he obviously qualifies for next year's regardless anyway. But I think that Angel Calderon will win this show. He's a top 10 Olympian, could have been even much higher at last year's Olympia as well. Debatably, him and Aaron Pilates could have been higher, but he brings a great physique, and really he's comparable to those top 5 guys in the 212 Olympia, and I just cannot see him actually getting beaten here. He's just too thick, too dense, very conditioned. Angel Calderon, I think, wins this show hands down, in my opinion. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the Opens and the 212s. Is it going to be Regan Grimes? Is it going to be Lionel Beyeke coming in and shocking everyone? Or could it be a Patrick Johnson in his pro debut taking this one out? And let me know what you think about the 212s. Is it Angel Calderon free asses to lose? Let me know what you think on that. And that's it for another video. If you guys want to support this channel, head to hostile.com, HOSSTILE.com. Enter ZAVE10, you'll save yourself 10% on the best supplements in the world. Just read their ingredients list. They are ridiculous. The products are amazing. The apparel is awesome as well. I'm wearing their cap here. I don't have one of their hoodies on right now just because the black doesn't really work at night when I record videos, but they are awesome. All the apparel and supplements are just next level. So just use ZAVE10. And also, if you want this stuff as a present for Christmas or the holidays or whatever, you can actually send wish lists to your family. So if you want a certain present, you can send that to them in a message or whatever, and then they can just order it for you for your presents if they if they don't know what to get you or whatever. So that's another good idea for it as well. So that's it for another video. For myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell button. Then you won't miss out on any of the coverage for this weekend's contest. For Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.